Mount Pleasant. It has pleasant right in the name, which means it's perfect, right? Not so much. While it does have many pros, it also has some cons, and we're going to discuss those today. What's up, everybody? It's Bill Olson. I am a realtor here in Charleston, South Carolina, and today we are going to be talking about the pros and the cons of living in one of Charleston's most desirable areas, Mount Pleasant. So let's get right into it without any further ado, and we're going to start with the pros. Why are people moving to Mount Pleasant? Why is it the 9th fastest growing city in America according to WalletHub and the 4th fastest growing small city? Well, here's 5 reasons why. So the number one reason why people tell me they want to move to Mount Pleasant is because of the school system. Now, it's in Charleston County School District, and on niche.com, it does have an A rating. And when you look on greatschools.org, a majority of the schools are rated at an 8 out of 10 or higher. This includes Wando High School, which is the number 8 best high school in the entire state of South Carolina. So number 2 pro of living in Mount Pleasant is the proximity to 2 of the 3 main beaches in Charleston. Now, these are Isle of Palms and Sullivan's Island. Now, wherever you are in Mount Pleasant, you are a very easy drive to one of these 2. Number 3 is the shopping and the dining. When it comes to shopping and eating out, apart from downtown, Mount Pleasant is tops. Part of this is due to the large population, and I feel part of it is due because the median income in Mount Pleasant is close to $100,000 a year, or almost double the national average. So when you have an area with that much money, retailers and restaurants want to flock there. One of the biggest and main shopping centers in Mount Pleasant is the Mount Pleasant Town Center, where you're going to find a plethora of stores to park your car, walk. It's a great way to just spend a day, have lunch, and spend some money. The first Whole Foods in Charleston was put in Mount Pleasant, and Mount Pleasant also has the area's only Trader Joe's, which is even more reason to go to Mount Pleasant. Our number 4 pro is also on our cons list, but we're going to talk about the pros first, and that is the weather. You know, when it comes to the weather here in Charleston, some of my favorite times are between fall and spring. And, even in the winter, we see high temperatures anywhere from the mid 50s to the mid 60s, with occasionally dropping below freezing. But because of this, I can honestly say that I have comfortably played golf year round, which you can't say about a lot of places up north without trying to dig through the snow to find your golf ball. Apart from winter, in the fall and the spring, we see high temperatures range from the mid 60s to the mid 70s, which to me is just perfect weather. And our number 5 pro is actually a pro for the entire state, and that is our property taxes. Here in South Carolina, we are in the top 10 most property tax friendly states in the country. We have an effective tax rate of about 0.55% of the assessed value of your home. Now, when you compare this to places like New Jersey, who have a 2.5% effective tax rate, then you're looking at a significant difference. Now, recently here in the news, Mount Pleasant did state that they were raising their taxes about 4.5%. And some people seemed concerned about this, but if you do the math, on an average priced home in Mount Pleasant, you're really only looking at roughly $50 a year. Okay, so those were the pros, or the pleasant side of Mount Pleasant. Now let's get into the not so pleasant and the cons. And our first is going to be what most people associate with Mount Pleasant, and that is the housing costs. Now, to look at this, we're going to kind of break Mount Pleasant up into two different sections. We have south of the Isle of Palms connector, which is going to be closer to downtown, and north of the Isle of Palms connector. Year to date, we are seeing an average price in all of Mount Pleasant for single family homes of in the $650,000 range. Now, when we break this into south of the connector and north of the connector, we need to remember that the closer you are to the beaches and to downtown, the more expensive housing gets. So when we look at south of the Isle of Palms connector, close to downtown Charleston, we are seeing an average home price of almost $740,000. Now, conversely, when we go north of the Isle of Palms connector, our average home price drops to just below $600,000. Now, that's a big swing for Mount Pleasant, but when you look at our entire area and the average price, we're looking at right about $435,000. So that's a significant jump. The number 2 con for Mount Pleasant was the one thing that everyone I talked to, this was the first thing that they said, and it's the traffic. With Mount Pleasant being one of the fastest growing cities and small cities in the United States, with that does come traffic. The more people you get, the more cars you get. The more cars are on the road, the more traffic you get. Now let's take that and let's put that into peak tourist season. Now remember, one of the pros was there are 2 beaches on the coast of Mount Pleasant. Well, because of that, people have to go through Mount Pleasant to get to these beaches. Weekends can be absolutely insane. Number 3, we're circling right back around to the weather. Now, while there are those great pros about the weather, there are 2 cons. And the first one is summer. Summers in Mount Pleasant and Charleston are incredibly hot, with temperatures averaging in the upper 80s to low to mid 90s. Now, once you add the humidity on top of that, it's not uncommon to see heat indexes at 105 or even pushing that 115 mark. This just kind of makes it miserable to walk outside. And our number 2 con of the weather are the hurricanes. Now, hurricane season does run between June 1st and November 30th, with peak season being mid-August to mid-October, which is when we get the majority of our Category 3, 4, and 5 storms. Now, with Mount Pleasant being right on the coast, you do get, if we do get hit, it's gonna do some significant damage. So please be prepared. A lot of people have generators, or you have your hurricane kits with your radio, phone chargers, food to last for a few days, and also make sure you have an evacuation plan if we get into those 4 and 5 category storms. Next on the list is we have the sales tax. Now, sales tax in South Carolina is only 6%. However, here in Charleston County, they have added on an extra 3%. 1% is a local option, 1% goes towards schools, and 1% goes towards transportation. So this brings us to a total of 9% sales tax if you're going out to buy something. Now, on top of that, we talked about the great restaurants in the area. Well, Charleston County also has a 2% hospitality tax, or any prepared food that is meant to be consumed on premise, or beverages that are meant to be consumed on premise, you have to add another 11%. So 9% on goods and services, and 11% on food and beverage when you're eating out. This can kind of boost that cost of living, especially if you're someone who doesn't like to cook and go out to eat all the time. Just something to factor into your budget, that you are going to be paying a little bit more in your food taxes. And number 5, my least favorite thing, the mosquitoes. Some people will tell you that the mosquito is the state bird of South Carolina. Mosquitoes thrive in warm weather, and that's something we have an abundance of here. They come out whenever the temperatures are, I believe, above 70 degrees. And once it gets over 80 or 85 is when they really come out and start laying their eggs, and we see more mosquitoes. They love laying their eggs in stagnant water, which we do have a lot of around here. So all of that just kind of plays into having an abundance of mosquitoes anytime you walk outside during the summer. A good way to combat this around your own house is if you have any bird baths or kids' water toys, cycle that water weekly. It does take about 12 days for mosquitoes to lay eggs and turn into the larvae. So if you just keep the water moving, keep your pool filter going and cycling through that water, and you can cut down on the mosquitoes, but it's really hard to get rid of them altogether. So there you have it, folks, the pleasant and not so pleasant things about living in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. If you live there, drop it down in the comments of what you love and what you hate, if I missed it, so people watching this video can get a good feel of if it's the right place for them. And as always, if you're thinking of moving to Charleston, give me a call. I'd love to chat and answer any questions you have. Thanks for watching and have a great day.